Hi, my name is Becky Payne and I'm Head of Land Farm and Agribusiness Management here at Harper Adams University. In my day job, I run a module called Sales and Customer Service, and in that module, my job is to underpin our placement year. So our students go out on placement between the second and third years of their studies, and one of the things that we found was that they really needed to understand how sales works and how customer service works and negotiation and all those kinds of things. So we built this module specifically to help our students understand what was required of them when they went out into the world of work. So my module was designed to give them this skill set, this kind of experience of how selling works and pitching for business and all those kinds of things. And as a part of that, 25% of that module, we run something called the negotiation exchange, and we get the students to learn how to do negotiation and reflect on its value in their wider studies. What we recognised was that whilst students were out on placement, they were likely to kind of come up against this obstacle of having to negotiate on behalf of their employer in all kinds of scenarios. It didn't really matter whether they were going to be in a dealership network or behind a desk negotiating feed prices, or at a showground or at a farmer's market. In all of those scenarios, negotiation was going to be a part of the skill set that was going to be expected of them from their future employers. So in order to get them ready for this and to get them ready for the world of work in general, we built this negotiation element into the module. What I was particularly keen on was that students had an opportunity to practice negotiation in a kind of non-threatening environment, and so I was scanning around to try and find ways to do this. Now, traditionally, what I'd done was I'd written a couple of scenarios and I taught the students the theoretical models behind negotiation, and then I gave them the scenario. They had a little bit of practice with their team, and then they went into a negotiation environment and negotiated a deal, and then afterwards they were asked to reflect on how well that had gone, how they thought it might have been done better, or how they might use this in their future employment. Now, this worked really well, but what happened was it was only repeatable if I kept the resources away from the students. So because it's part of an assessment, it's really clear that I couldn't just give them all copies of every year's scenario and let them have a go with it, because I'd have to be endlessly rewriting new scenarios, and that took quite a lot of time and effort. So I was looking around for an alternative, and that's when I came across these cards, which I think are invaluable in this context. One of the things that really worried me about my traditional format was that it didn't really encourage full engagement. There were very few opportunities to have a real practice and gain any real muscle memory around negotiation. So it was really important for me to try and factor that in to my teaching design in the future. I could start a negotiation activity with relatively little prep. Just getting the pack of cards out and handing out a card each to students in pairs was enough to get us moving. Secondly, it didn't really matter whether they'd had any experience of negotiation before or not, because they were given the card and they were given their variables, and straight away they could figure out how they were supposed to go about actively practicing with the colleague that was sitting in front of them. And thirdly, they could do this again and again. So we changed the scenario slightly, we moved around the room, we changed partners, we did all kinds of different things, but essentially the cards in their many forms were an asset that could be used again and again in teaching. So the students had a real opportunity to practice what they needed to know and to have a go at something, and to go around that loop as many times as they wanted to in order to feel comfortable, not only to pass their assessment, but actually to give them some real world experience that they can take with them. It's part of their toolkit as they enter the world of work. From the feedback and the smiles on the photographs that are running behind me, I think it's clear how enjoyable this learning event was for the students, how comfortable they felt, and how prepared they felt for the next stage of their journey through education and out into the world of work. So if you're in an educational establishment anywhere, considering introducing negotiation into your modules, or you have it already and you were doing what I was doing, which was preparing endless drafts of scenarios, then I urge you to take a look at these cards, because they really make a difference, not only to our input to the teaching, but to the students' ability to gain some real world skills off the back of it.